In government, the League of Women's Voters hosted a virtual 12th Norfolk District Representative Candidates Forum Monday night. Current Representative John Rogers and candidate Michael Dooley fielded submitted questions chosen by the League of Women Voters. Questions pertain to current Massachusetts bills and the state of the education. Both candidates also gave responses to a bill that gives a 2050 roadmap to a clean and thriving Commonwealth.
I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by the Sierra Club, one of the most important environmental groups in the country and here in Massachusetts. I do support that bill, working to pass legislation to get that done. Energy is one of the driving forces of climate change, and the fossil fuel industry is the driving force funding the opposition to environmental legislation. I think converting Massachusetts to 100% renewable energy will stop the ceaseless consumption of non-renewable sources that pose a threat to our communities. Renewable energy is far more reliable, far less expensive, and switching to these energy sources saves our constituents both time and money in the long run.
I'm endorsed by the Environmental League of Massachusetts. I'm also endorsed by the Mass Organization of State Engineers and Scientists that work hands-on. When I created and wrote the law to create the Community Preservation Act, which now it has adopted, the Sierra Club was nowhere to be seen when we were putting that through. And I'm happy that the town just cut the ribbon on the Bond Street playground with CPA funds. I worked with Moses, I worked with the Department of Environmental Protection to secure the $2.7 million in financing to rebuild Norwood sewer systems so that superstorms like the one on June 28th don't destroy homes.
Tension ran high between the candidates during the forum, which ended with strong closing remarks.
My first job in Norwood was as a paper boy, delivering to the families of Norwood. I was age 5, and in many ways, I'm still a paper boy, delivering different types of papers for the people of Norwood in forms of laws that protect our veterans, our seniors, our school children, those struggling with opioid addiction. But this election, it's less about Mr. Dooley and me than Mr. Plasko and me, who endorses Mr. Dooley. See, Bill Plasko desperately wants a liquor license for this out-of-town, out-of-state corporation that broke its promise to the children of Norwood. And 400 citizens testified against that, the bill that Senator Rush and I agreed to file, contingent upon them keeping their promise to the children. They have not kept their promise to the children. So Mr. Plasko couldn't get it through the House or the Senate and tried to take a pocket license to get it through the ABCC. But Matt Brown and 25 angry taxpayers held up the process. So then he threatened to take papers out of me. I don't care. I'm not going to be intimidated. I don't work for the board. I'll work with them. I don't work for corporations. Work with them, but won't be intimidated.
John, this election's between you and I, not you and Mr. Plasko. I want to thank the League for organizing this forum. I also want to thank everyone who's watching live at home and attending virtually. And if it wasn't clear already, tonight revealed why there needs to be a change on September 1st. The people have an opportunity to bring a fresh voice to Beacon Hill. And now more than ever, we need a new generation of leadership to confront the challenges that face us. I'm proud to be supported by the Sierra Club because they know I'll confront climate change head on. I'm proud to be supported by NARAL Pro-Choice Mass because they know I'll always stand up for women's reproductive freedom. I'm proud to be supported by the Bay State Stonewall Democrats because they know I stand up for the LGBTQ+ community. I'm proud to be supported by multiple members of the Democratic State Committee because they know I'm a real Democrat, not one who's financed by Republican super PACs. I'm proud to be supported by Norwood School Committee member Dave Catania because he knows that our schools deserve better. I'm proud to be supported by Walpole community leader Phil Chachorowski because he knows that Walpole deserves a community presence. And I'm proud to be supported by the chair of the Norwood Selectmen, Bill Plasko, because who knows better than him about the absence of our leadership on Beacon Hill.
You can watch the full forum on demand on our YouTube page and at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Monday night's busy planning board meeting began with a minor site plan approval for a storefront sign. The new store, Norwood Spice, at 655 Washington Street, was denied their application for a sign. The members of the board continued the hearing and asked for a different style sign. The second agenda item was a discussion on the redevelopment of the existing Big Y supermarket. Members of the board, representatives from the applicant, and residents were all heard on the matter. After an hour-long discussion, Pal Halkiotis, town planner, made a recommendation to the board.
At this point, it might be best for the board to continue the hearing to our next meeting to see if we can work on resolutions to these outstanding issues. Why don't we recommend that the board vote to continue this hearing until September 14th at 7:15 p.m.
That is part of my motion, 7:15.
Do I have a second?
14th.
All right. Second. Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Following the Big Y redevelopment hearing, the board had discussions on 60 Union Street subdivision and Route 1 study and rezoning. To end the meeting, representatives from Skating Club of Boston presented a project update. The next planning board meeting will be September 14th. DPW Director and Town Engineer Mark Ryan appeared at the Board of Selectmen meeting Tuesday night. Mr. Ryan highlighted some of the damage that occurred after the June 28th rainstorm. The Selectman and the DPW Director also discussed the Meadowbrook drainage study that was completed in 2004.
During that event in June of 1998, we had nearly 6 inches of water fall in 24 hours. June of 2020, June 28th of 2020, we had nearly 5 inches, well over 4.5. Some records are saying closer to 5 inches in 90 minutes. So there's no system, Mr. Chairman, that could handle that. But regardless, it's something we should start looking into, seeing what upgrades we can make to the drainage system. And now it has not been standing idly by. We've invested a lot of money, not only in this report, but actual infrastructure improvements. The Sumner Street culvert was wiped out in 1998. We went through a grant process in town funds and replaced that with a 4x8 culvert.
Later in the meeting, Selectman Hajar made a motion to create an implementation committee for open space and recreation. The motion failed 3-2. A new motion made by Selectman Maloney gave the charge to Town Manager Tony Mizuko and passed unanimously. The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be Tuesday, September 1st. Also Tuesday, the Trails Advisory Committee met to address a few topics. One of the first orders of business was introducing new member Kate Smith and the review and approval of prior meeting minutes. The committee gave some trail updates, including a report from Sue Bartlett on the Peswick Trail and the reminder on reporting any damage to current trails. The committee ended the meeting with their usual roundtable discussion of recent trail walks and brainstorming. The Trails Advisory Committee's next meeting is scheduled for September 8th. The school committee met on Wednesday with a packed schedule. Chris Capizio kicked off the meeting with a review of the Extended Day Summer Program and proposed a model for the Extended Day After School Program, as well as remote learning support for the upcoming school year.
So the after-school program proposal as of now is that we're only going to open to students who are enrolled in the hybrid model, not students who are enrolled in the remote learning or students who are choosing to be homeschooled, and that it'll only be offered on the in-school days. So that looks like a Monday, Tuesday block, and that looks like a Thursday, Friday block based on the cohort groupings, and that we would not be open on Wednesdays. There would be no busing and no travel to the Savage Center. We would look at having our after-school program available at all 6 of the schools, including the Willett Elementary or the Willett Early Childhood Center, excuse me. So here we are looking at remote learning support. I know this is something that has come out a few times, and in our general conversations and on social media, and probably privately in our homes, we are definitely interested in providing a remote learning support setting or environment for students who are enrolled in the hybrid model. So this is not for the Remote Learning Academy. This is not for students who are being homeschooled. This will be held at the James R. Savage Center, so where we are presently located and where we are operating for the summer.
NHS Principal Dr. Hugh Galligan suggested that the parking fees for NHS students be waived or reduced for the year. The board voted 4-1 to reduce the parking fees from $100 to $40 for the school year. Superintendent Dr. David Thompson presented his 4th school reopening update, which included the Remote Learning Academy, school calendar, staggered start proposal, as well as the additional staffing needs the school will need to operate this upcoming year between hybrid and remote students.
Yes, so I think it's I guess basically talk a little bit about we're trying to, well, we have to basically spread students out, teach in our district model, which we're planning on the hybrid being the primary delivery, and then we've also are required to offer a remote only option, which means we basically as Mr. Bodenhofer pointed out, we basically have to staff a whole nother school. So when you look at that, and we're looking at it through several different models to do the Remote Learning Academy. The other piece is that we're going to be asking our teachers, all of our teachers, to use much more instructional technology. So we, at the last meeting, the school committee did approve 2 positions for instructional technology specialists. We anticipate that costing us about $128,000. We will need approximately 21 elementary teachers. I am hopeful once we fleece some of those numbers and scrape down a little bit and look for some carryover, we might be able to reduce that a little bit. But ultimately, yeah, we have to have people to do the work, and that's over $1 million. 1 SPED teacher, some of the students that have opted for the remote learning academy also are students that are in a sub-separate program. And that's not something we can reproduce with our current in-person staff.
The board voted to pass the recommendation to post the jobs for hire for the additional staff members and move forward with the hybrid plan. The school committee has added a meeting for next Wednesday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org.